thought I'd share with you some tips in dragging with the fill handle. Now the fill handle is the little icon that's the bottom right hand corner of a cell or a range depending on what you're using it on. Now when you click and hold and drag, depending what you are dragging, you can get slightly different results. So if you drag a number, you'll get a copy. If you drag anything that's sort of date related, you'll get an increment. Now to switch that, it's as simple as holding the control key down and then dragging. And so if we want a copy of a date, and you don't even need to hold the control key down all the way, you can actually press it right at the end. So I've just dragged as normal here. I'm going to press my control key and then release the mouse, and so then I'll get a copy. So you can either hold the control key down all the way, or just, as I said, press and hold it at the end, release the mouse first and then release the control key when you do that. Okay, so that's the basics of copying or incrementing depending on what you want to do. Now a couple of things that some people aren't aware of. If you select two cells and drag and you've got sort of an increment built into those two cells, Excel will keep that increment going. So even if you had, let's say we're incrementing by 10, if you drag that, Excel will keep that increment going. Again, a lot of people aren't aware of that when you're using the fill handle. Another thing that people aren't aware on, you can select more than the entries in there. Now when I drag this is going to give an unusual sort of layout, and depending what you're after, it might be just what you need. That's giving two numbers, then a break, then two more numbers, and they're in sequence. There's no formulas there, that's just Excel figuring out that that's probably what you want to do. If you hold the control key down when you do it, it'll actually repeat them. Initially it's incrementing it, but again, to switch what you're doing, you can hold the control key if that's the effect that you're after. So you can just use the mouse with the fill handle to drag that. Now another little tip, if you want to populate the months of the year, for example, if you put the two starting days of a month in and select both cells and drag them, it'll actually put the starting day for every month in there. Even works for the end of month. So if you put two dates in there and they're both end of month dates and you drag that, it'll populate all of the other end of month. Again, it looks for patterns. So if you put the 14th of the month, maybe that's when the salaries are paid or something, you can put that in all of them and drag that down to get the value there. It works on gaps as well. This one here, we've got a gap of 2 weeks between these two dates, and so if you drag that, you'll get a 2-week gap in all of those dates. It's not just dates and numbers that you can tweak here. For example, you might have some sort of like a very simple stock system, and you might have multiple stocks that you're monitoring. And so you want to repeat this text over and over as you copy it down. So you can do that by selecting, let's say we want a blank row after closing balance. As long as you've selected that blank row, it will repeat that blank row. Even works for formulas. There's a formula in these cells here. These are linked to the top section. But again, we can select an extra blank cell, and when we drag that, it'll repeat that blank cell underneath. So you can get the, you can have as many blank cells as you want. It will repeat the structure that you're basically copying in this case rather than incrementing. I hope that's been useful. Thank you.